The Independent International Commission of Inquiry on the Syrian Arab Republic has investigated human rights violations in detention facilities across Syria for 10 years. The Commission gathered 2,658 testimonies detailing horrific accounts of survivors and witnesses. While there are no clean hands in the conflict, the government of Syria arbitrarily detained on a far wider scale than others. Parties to the conflict targeted those with dissenting political views, journalists, human rights activists, health workers, religious or ethnic minorities, men and teenage boys from certain areas, and unlawfully deprived them of their liberty. All parties held prisoners incommunicado, forcing them to disappear from their families and loved ones.
For 2 years, 2 months, and 21 days, I didn't see the sunlight. I felt like I was inside a grave.
Torture is rife. Many were beaten, electrocuted, or forced to hang for long periods from just 1 or 2 limbs.
They tortured me. Then the interrogator told me, "We can kill you here and now, and nobody will ever know."
A mock beheading was performed on me. This is the most painful and horrific part, even worse than the beating.
Many detainees were sexually abused and raped. Men's genitals were burned. Women were especially targeted. Those who survive are often left without support to face social rejection and stigma.
When I regained consciousness, I was in my cell, incontinent and bleeding heavily from my genitals. But the most painful part was the emotional pain.
These horrific violations, as well as executions of detainees and inhuman detention conditions without food, clean water, or medical care, led to the death of many women, men, boys, and girls. The Commission has collected over 800 testimonies detailing death in detention since 2011. The fate of thousands of others is not yet known. They remain forcibly disappeared. For 10 years, these crimes and abuses have continued unpunished. Urgent and serious efforts are needed to stop torture, ill treatment, sexual abuse, and execution of detainees. Stop incommunicado detention and let all detainees contact their families and legal representatives. Allow access to all places of detention to independent and humanitarian organizations and improve conditions. Release the infirm, disabled, elderly, women, children, and those arbitrarily detained. Support victims, survivors, and their families, including psychosocial support, and to identify those missing and disappeared, and to hold perpetrators to account.